Thank you, Erin. It's 5:11 p.m. We are out of the executive session. All 5 town council members are present and Erin Nelson. So what I would like to do is just take a 5-minute pause here to get some more water and do whatever. So let's just recess for 5 minutes and just turn our microphones off or do whatever we need to do. Okay, I've turned the recorder back on. It is 5:15. And we're all still back here. So starting with number 1, which is review of meeting minutes for the joint meetings of Bluff Town Council and Bluff's Planning and Zoning Commission. Since we now have the meeting minutes, could we move that to the next meeting to approve those? Not bother to do a discussion of when we can do that when we approve them? Which is our next meeting isn't until the 5th, November 5th. Then the second item is a reminder about the voting ballot box and review of schedule for Wednesdays, October 16th, 23rd, and 30th. Erin, how are we doing on coverage?
So we have coverage for each of these. Melanie will be here tomorrow all day. Malia and Marcia I have down for the 23rd, and Malia and Jen I have down for the 30th. So we are covered.
And then just a reminder that during the week, it's what, 9 to 5 for the ballot box.
And if you have any hang-ups, then send it out. I'm still working quite a schedule, so if y'all can do it, that's awesome. If you run into problems, let me know. Thanks.
All right, then. Number 3 is presentation and discussion of IT services and update on move to a .gov domain. Erin, is there any update on this?
No, unfortunately, I had some items that had some pretty urgent, I needed to get to pretty urgently this past week. I have been in contact with all of the IT services. I am still waiting to get a written quote from Cinch IT, and I do think that there's might be a pretty good viable option in re-examining the quote from Galaxy IT. There's some pretty aggressive transition fees that we would want to consider. So I want all of them written out so we can compare side by side. Ben should be able to get me the stuff by tomorrow, so that'll be good. And then I don't have any updates on .gov. You haven't received any emails on that either.
No.
It is my understanding that once we are granted that .gov domain, then there's just stuff that we have to do that our IT company and website can do to get us moved over.
Did you receive, I hope I forwarded the one I got Monday or Friday from them saying they needed something additional?
I didn't, but I can take a look.
I will look also. Okay. Yeah, there was something and you responded to, it might be something I need to just go back and take it better. Today is Tuesday. It was probably Friday. I will go back and look, but I do know I forwarded it to you, but it was probably buried in a chain of other things we were doing.
I will take a look. So, yeah, so once we're granted access, then we just have to work with the IT service provider to get it moved over. And I don't have anything else on that right now, unless folks have questions for the IT companies.
No, I think if you and I can just come back to that topic, and I'll do a search too. Then number 4, there was the application draft for sole source water designation, and it doesn't require anything more right now other than Britt and myself to get together to meet to call the EPA and talk about what else they need. Part of it is a map of the town boundaries and then one of the water studies. And Jim Sayers had done the initial research and pulled the application and given it to Britt and myself, and so I just went ahead and filled in the town's information.
Do you want to get together this week?
If you can.
Thursday, Friday is best for me.
Friday? Why don't you and I talk about that and spend some time on Friday? That's probably the best day for me too. And then we should be able to bring it back with a list of whatever the EPA tells us.
So this is in regard to the Sunrise Engineering Study, or?
Yeah, it's part of that. And it goes to the EPA in Denver. So it's a matter of pulling together some documents and then having us look at the application, seeing if we want, if we're ready to move on that.
And this is secures our water rights a little more. Is that the purpose of this, or is this
No.
required?
It's more an acceptance of the fact, that EPA acknowledges that we have a sole source and that it does give added protections for things like drilling. It's a little more stringent than just having multiple sources. So Britt and I will get together Friday and do some work on this. Is there anything, Britt, number 5, excuse me, on the Bears Ears National Monument Management Plan?
I have been able to peruse it a little bit, giant as it is, but with Virgil's birthday and all that, I have not given a ton of time to it. I did flip through and just glance at the airport section, and it seems to be generally the same as it was written in the other document. So I think, as far as I understand from what I've gotten from BLM, is I think we need to, because all of our questions have to do with what they permit out for commercial use and things like that. That won't be in this document. So I think now that it's submitted, I can start reaching out to, if you guys would like, the SRP manager, the recreation permit manager, and chat with them about just getting the conversation going. Because my guess is some of the questions we have are not going to be like readily available information for this guy to have. He's probably going to have to go digging. So, but I can just start engaging him to chat with us if you guys would like.
It's probably a good idea because I was looking today at that Utah legislation on the airport overlay, trying to read through a little bit more detail.
Okay.
So it'd probably be useful to know what the management plan is going to do or what they're not going to do.
Because I think, as far as I understand it, it might be a fair amount like that they can get with like us, like on what we would like to see for commercial. I think they'll listen to that. Because from what I understand is it's basically like once it lands, it's basically a car, like, and that's kind of what they're going off of. Is those numbers, you know what I mean? So but I was like, yeah, well, I'm worried about it once it takes off. So what's that doing? So it's just such a gray area. And since it's only 2 airports in the monument and the other one's Fry Canyon, I think we're going to be the only ones asking any of these questions from. So.
Okay, well, I would say we should probably have you ask the questions.
Okay, I'll just send an introductory email and get it going.
Okay.
I'll CC.
Perfect.
Right, I can do that, right?
Yeah. Yep, you can do that. The number 6, the report on Bluff Waterworks meeting of October 9th of 2024. Linda attended and Jen was
Jen was there, yeah. So the system's going well. Mark's mentioned that he got with Sunrise about the lead and copper studies. I don't remember though if he said that if he gave any information other than that he met with them or was going to meet with them.
I don't know that he clarified what he just said that he had met with them. I don't know that he clarified that he had exchanged information or not.
Yeah.
I'm off.
I mean, they can hear you, but you're not.
Did I inadvertently? I was closing out page.
They can still hear you, so carry on.
So I would assume that they exchanged some information, but I don't know that he said that they shared any information, just that he had met with them.
Yeah.
So
Hopefully that's forthcoming.
well, I believe that the EPA deadlines are coming up fairly quickly, like maybe actually it was last week.
I believe that the deadlines were this fall, September or
Yeah,
October.
yeah. So he had just mentioned that he had met with Sunrise.
And Gary wasn't there, but he has sent the strategic planning committee the agenda for the first meeting, which will be at the Desert Rose on next Tuesday from 2 to 6. And the public can attend, plus Jen has it on the Utah Public Notice website, that agenda. Or, okay, Jen will have that agenda on the Public Notice website. For anyone listening, you go to special service area, not municipality. And then from there, you scroll over to Bluff Waterworks.
Yeah.
So, and then the next meeting is on November 13th. Plus their budget things are coming up. Their calendar, not fiscal.
So our November meeting, I think our November meeting usually contains the budget hearing. No. It always catches me by surprise, so I think,
It always comes up fast.
yes, it does. So maybe
Yeah.
our budget hearing has to be on next Thursday, or the
No.
next meeting, and then we vote on it in the December meeting, I think is how it's supposed to.
So,
The budget presentation maybe has to be next, I think, in the next meeting, and then we vote on it in the December meeting.
so for us, do we need to put in the Utah Public Notice website that that's happening? And since there could easily be 3 of us.
Yeah.
or
I'll make
more.
sure that I get it on. Do it this week and post it. We could all be there.
So it's October 22nd,
Oh, thank you.
I believe.
Yeah,
For what, the next Tuesday, your meeting is Tuesday the 22nd.
The
That's our-
strategic plan.
That's our strategic planning meeting. The regular meeting is in the second Wednesday of November, the 13th.
Of your regular BWW. Yeah. That's,
Then moving to number 7, the discussion of Bluff's Planning and Zoning Commission's term expirations, notice of vacancies, and amendments to the planning and zoning bylaws. Erin, do you want to describe where we are with the terms?
Yes. So there are 2, I'll call them seats, but for lack of a better term, there are 2 seats whose terms expire at the end of November. And so we as Bluff are seeking interested individuals and to fill those seats. The terms run from December 2024 through November 2028. So it is a 4-year term. Applicants must be a resident of Bluff, be a qualified Utah voter, have the ability to attend 2 regular monthly meetings and work sessions as needed, and complete required annual trainings. Previous experience in planning and zoning is not required. It's always preferred, but not required. For commissioners who are interested in renewing their terms, they would also need to send a letter as well as go through the interview process. So to apply, people should email a letter of interest to planningzoning@townofbluff.org. And again, they should email a letter of interest to planningzoning@townofbluff.org. And the deadline for the applications would be Friday, November 1st at 5 p.m. And based on the number of applicants, then P&Z would schedule interviews. I have requested that the 3 P&Z commissioners whose terms are not expiring to conduct the interviews. The 2 who are expiring would need to go through the interview process and therefore would not be on the interviewing board. So this information has been sent to Amanda. Ideally, they would have recommendations to council in early November, and then council Ann as mayor, usually also approved by council, would go ahead and make the appointments. So if folks have questions, they should email Amanda Podmore, who's the planning and zoning chair right now. They should email her directly, and her email is amandapz@townofbluff.org with any questions, or I suppose they can always come see me, but yeah, so that's what we're looking at. And again, we want to make this a fair and equitable process, and that's why we're ensuring that, you know, anyone who is interested in those 2 seats goes through the entire, you know, application interview process to make sure that we're getting the right folks on the board who are interested and able to continue able to serve the community.
So Marcia's term is expiring.
And
Who is
Ed
this?
Dawson.
Yes.
Any questions from council about that?
Erin did a really great brochure or flyer to post and get the information out, and it's running in the San Juan Record, which
Yes, should be running this week, next week, and the week after. Requested it run for 3. And then the only other thing I was going to say, regarding the terms. So in preparation for this, I was looking through planning and zoning's bylaws, and there's a little bit of confusion regarding when terms actually start. And so one of my projects over the next month or so is going to be kind of doing a red line of the bylaws. You know, a lot has changed in 6 years. So I just want to make sure that their bylaws are something that we can continue to hold them accountable to. So I'll kind of do a red line, but that'll probably come to council for an amendment, because some of it indicates that their terms expire in November. Some of it says, well, they start in January. So we'll just make sure it's super clear for all incoming members and for the current commissioners as well.
so I'm
There's a
thinking,
lot of information on the homepage of our website, so I should
There
put that
is,
on.
yes, that thank you, Luanne. Yeah, that full brochure is on our website, or flyer, notice,
that page.
that page.
So my thought would be, hopefully at one of the next 2 work sessions, preferably the next one in November, that we could kind of run through the current bylaws and clean them up. I also think we should probably do it for code of conduct. We haven't looked at that since we incorporated, and now that people are back to meeting in person and doing all of that, it's probably a good time to look at what worked and didn't work prior to COVID. So a couple of cleanup things for the end of the year. So number 8, unless if there are no questions, then we'll move to 8, which is a report on Bluff's Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. Lou?
Okay, yes. And I'm on there twice, but I'll just do it once. Number 12 is there too, so we'll just X that one. And number 8 is the update for P&Z. And the first thing is I do have a meeting tomorrow night, and they have invited the Hanson group to come down. They will be at the meeting to do a final look at the subdivision ordinance. So that's tomorrow night at 6. And then they should have that ready to pass on to us to approve. But the Hansons will be there tomorrow. The other thing they had on the agenda last time was the land use clearance. There was one for a trailer that was moved, a house trailer that was moved onto a lot, and it hadn't gotten an LUC, a timely LUC. So the application was put in post moving, setting up. They weren't exactly sure what to do with a retroactive request. They did agree to approve it because it met all the parameters, and it was just put on another spot where there'd been a trailer, and it just went back in. But it met all the setbacks and all of the things. And so that was approved with conditions of having the attorney look at it to see if that's how you do retroactive things. One of the commissioners said that back east, they have like some penalties if you don't do it timely, but you can still approve things. So anyway, that was where that was left. And then a lot of discussion on what kind of precedence was set. And one of the ideas was that the precedence was set is that we're such a small town, we notice these things, and you do get notified that you're in compliance or not in compliance. So that part is good. But anyway, it seems to be all up and good now. And that was all I really had. It was just that one meeting. So, but I'd say there's a meeting tomorrow night.
Did they say anything about the fee?
It was paid.
Okay.
Yeah, the fee was paid with the land use clearance. The application went in, but it was just this retroactive thing. So,
Well,
studied it, and then, the question is, well, if you come in and it's doesn't match up with the setbacks and whatever, that's the question. That would be the enforcement thing of, do you have to pull it off or whatever, tear it down? That's that enforcement.
And that's the reason that number 9 is on here, discussion of penalties for violating ordinance, section on land use clearance. This is not a good thing to have happen. Things happen for whatever reason, but I went through and looked at other places that the assessments, depending on the size of the city or town, can get pretty hefty. For every day that you violate a land use clearance, it's a monetary value. And then in addition to that, like, what is the other remedy? And I think we need to talk about it and amend that ordinance to include, if nothing more, monetary remedy, that you didn't get the land use clearance, you parked it there or built it there or did whatever, and you're going to pay a penalty. But it's something we don't have, that we're not going to decide or vote on tonight, but I just wanted to let you know I'm looking at that, trying to put some information together to say, this is not act and then ask for forgiveness. It's not how we operate, and it's not, at least that's not how I would like to see us operate. I think we need to have some teeth to our ordinances. So just the heads up, that'll be on the work session.
And that, I missed that point in the review, is that they did talk about that, like, can't put a penalty in, all they do is take the ordinance as it's written.
Mhm.
And that's what they have to go on. So there's no penalty written in, so they can't just, decide it's going to be such and such, or decide to waive it or whatever. There's no penalty written into our ordinance.
There actually is, I don't have it with me, there's actually a remedy for it, but it's vague. It isn't spelled out, but there is actually something there. But it doesn't give any direction.
Or an amount.
Right.
So anyway, that was.
The next is number 10, review and discussion of the Department of Interior and the United States Agricultural Letter of October 7th. If everyone got it and read it, it looked to me, I'd completely forgotten what it was about. But there didn't seem to be anything that I felt we needed to comment on, but maybe somebody else feels like. Did that go in, maybe it didn't go in the packet?
Consulting parties.
Yeah, I have the consulting parties.
That's the one. That's
That's what I
a
got
meeting on the
from.
22nd.
No, we had a letter from them on one of the letters that we typically get that says that there's been a termination of no adverse effect. Yeah. And it was something removed, and I didn't see anything. It was a very short one.
You can forward it to me, I'll double check, but I'm sure it's fine.
Okay.
And I do see this consulting party, is that different?
This is. Yeah, this is the attachment I got on Saturday. It says for the agenda packet. So let's just open it.
Yeah, I'll just make sure Britt gets a look at it, but
But that does look like they're asking for a consulting party to do it on the 22nd. I can go to that, at least part of the day, 9 to 3, so I'd rather not.
Well, that's also the same day that we're doing the bar.
And that one's at 4
Mm.
to 2. Okay. Well, I think they have an hour-long lunch, so I'd probably just go for the morning for the big part.
Mhm.
are you just going for the lunch?
Oh, no. No, it's a BLM lunch. I will definitely not.
It says from 2:30 to 3 with just questions.
Yeah, so I think when I was looking at it, I'll go in the morning because that's where most of the info is gonna be, and then come back for our meeting, because the afternoon will just be likely to stay compliance.
Here's the hard copy if you want it.
The most unhelpful letters.
Well, they're just so boilerplate generic that they're not, at least for me, not that helpful. All right, then there are no questions about that. Then number 11, a report on the roads committee work, engineering, discussion and a vote to hire Thomas Hayden to do mapping. Lou, why don't you go ahead and cover that?
Okay. Now, we did have a roads committee meeting yesterday, but one of the things that we want to do is we're supposed to inventory our signs. It's a good idea to inventory our signs so we know that they're all functional and good shape. There's the person that did some radar work here in town earlier. He's a young man that knows how to do he knows how to do some complicated GIS things, but I think what he'll do is do a Google Earth map of all of our signs and then do an Excel sheet for us. And so the idea is that we'll hire him. He said he'll do it for $20 an hour and get us all set up, and then we can keep track of our road work that we've done. We can keep, if we've done chip sealing or whatever on a certain day, on a certain year, on a certain road, keep track of our signs, but year after year. The Excel sheet can be expanded, and the map won't really need to change, but we can change it as well. So I just wanted approval to go ahead and let him know that we'd like him to do it. And then that could morph into a road map that would show, like the Highway 191 would be on Google Earth, could be a certain color. Then all the C-class roads could be another color. Anyway, so on, so that all of the streets that are within our town would be labeled and on a map that we could share and be on Google Earth. But we're not assigning him that part yet. We wanted to kind of see how this part worked and if it was workable with everybody. And then we could add to that. There was, anyway, so we were hoping to get approval to hire him. And then the Jones and DeMille Engineering has done some preliminary proposals for fixing Cap Canyon Road back by the stormwater storage pond, and also on 7th where it comes down that paved road, 7th West comes down the paved road and then is running off and eroding the side. So they put just a curve there to keep all the water running down the street, and it would go into the storm drain at the base there. So the next step on that is to get a contractor to come in and get some bids on it and an RFP out to get those two projects. Michael Havokin is going to get that firmed up a little more specifically because it was a little bit vague on the way they described it. So before we put the RFP out, we'd like to get that a little more precise. So there's no questions on how much and how wide and how. So, but those two are moving along. And was there anything else, Ann?
No, I just think that one of the vagueness was, in addition to Lou and Michael catching that there wasn't specific descriptions about the length of the repair, the width of the repairs. It was $35,000 to $50,000. Well, that's a pretty broad range. And so Michael Havokin was going to work with Jones and DeMille to get a better description, scope of work, and then I will get that to Erin for us to take a look at, because the next question would be, what do we need for an RFP and getting it out. There's also some discussion about being able to, wanting to remind everyone that the San Juan Transportation Board will do a 50% match once we've paid it. So we can turn some of these into the San Juan Transportation Board to mitigate costs. Going back to hiring someone to do the mapping, that's the person who did the speed tests about 18 months ago. So we did not pay Thomas Hayden at that time. He did it as an intern for me. But for disclosure purposes, Thomas is like a son to me. I will not be voting on what to pay him or whether to hire him.
And I'd like to have this discussion about employees versus like contractors or 1090, people we pay as 1099s, because when I look at this project, it's a one-time thing. He is not our employee. And I just want to verify that that's what you all discussed. It's not an employee, but we would be using his work. So was it us setting the rate or him setting the rate? And how was that rate agreed upon? And is there a cap on a proposed cap on the project that would need further approval if it reached that level?
So
Luanne talked with him.
that employee contractor thing is an interesting thing because when he is working by the hour, that's an employee situation.
Not necessarily. So if he provides us his rate and says, you know, I've done this many hours of work, this is my rate that I am requesting, he is a contractor. But we need to be really, really, really detailed moving forward regarding who's an employee and who's not.
And I just don't know that he's not a contractor, so I don't know how he could become one for this project.
No, I think you're using the phrase.
Confusing terms.
Yeah, you're confusing contracting as a builder with an independent contractor as
As a person you
someone that
hire.
you're hired to do a job, like
Yes.
coming in to do a one-time cleaning position.
One time, yes. Yeah.
Just means that you are not as an employer required to pay
Pay
workman's comp,
benefits.
pay benefits, pay.
And that's okay for us
Withhold.
to do.
Yes.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
it's a W-9, it's a W-9 as opposed to a W-2.
And legally, there are markers, like if you control the work, you control hours, you control the, you provide the tools and all of that, then you are an employee. But if you don't do those things, generally it's an independent contractor. So we did discuss in the roads committee a cap. So
I think we said 800 was what, if he didn't want to. He's done professional work with the GIS system, so he would be paid more than that normally, but didn't want to, with our bank and getting too expensive, he wanted to help us get it done.
Okay. That looks a lot, thank you.
Along with roads, I've had several people ask me why we're surveying Second East. I can't give them a clear response to that. Can somebody enlighten me why we're surveying Second East?
That was the other, I have two notes here of two other things, but the survey was done because those are being added to UDOT's Class C roads, because we are maintaining them and taking care of them. And so in order to know what we have and like where we put the road and where is not our road, it was good to get it surveyed. Michael says he knows where all the pins are on the east side. The west side might still need some more survey work, but the east side is all surveyed, all the old streets and their pins and markers. You can find all those, so they're there. But so yeah, it was second east from the highway north, and then it was second west from the highway south. And what was the third one?
So once that's completed, is it the roads department's intention to submit a new manifest to the state?
yes.
Yeah, that's the purpose. And then Black Locust was the third one, and that runs from second over to third, because that was some, unknown space of exactly where those markers are. So that way we know what's ours. And so then that survey, Michael Havigan has, but it was done by the county surveyor. So it's also recorded in the county, so we can always go to the county and pull it out. And he was gonna get it, he's still having some computer problems. I don't know if he's on, he was on earlier, but anyway, that's been done for those reasons.
What's the timeline on submitting the new manifest?
I think he's doing that soon.
Okay, that needs to come to our desk because we have some other things that are gonna need to know about that. So just whenever he's completed that, I'd like to know.
So do you want to let him know?
I've already got the packet of stuff that has to be handled on that, so I'll get back with you on it.
So they can be updated every year or every
Yeah.
6 months, or, I mean, it can be updated.
We just have some other stuff that, if that was to be updated, I think we need to
Mhm.
have
Yeah.
it pretty.
I have it on my
well-noticed.
desk too. We met yesterday.
So that would change the class of that road to Class C road rather than a
Class D, I think.
plotted unimproved county road.
And because it wasn't improved enough to get money.
Yeah, it was a county unimproved before.
And then the other thing, the couple of the roads need some water bars cut into them where the grading hasn't been keeping them open on some of the dirt roads around, not right in town, but the outlier ones where we've got some slope to them. Those water bars need opened up, and the cattle guards need cleaned out again. So we've got 3 cattle guards and some water bars. And so we were wanting to hire Steve Helgerson to do that again, and it's within our budget of our roads, but just so you're aware that we're going to be cleaning those out too. And that was a 5,000 max is what we put on that, and if it's more than that, then we'll take the options.
And that's
Several of them.
information, I'll make sure that Erin has the information. And that will be imperative, and I didn't think about this yesterday, but that will be imperative on Helgerson Property Management to get us an immediate invoice on that when he's doing the work. Like, it can't sit out there for 60 days. We have other
So we had
issues.
three cattle guards that filled up because of these water bars not being open, and when it rains again, they're gonna be up, and then the cows are gonna walk out. Stuff, so we need to take care of them. And then do some preventative.
I don't think the question isn't whether they need to be done. The question is how it ties into other things that we're working on, so.
And then Michael still sits on the transportation district. So he's still, and so that's where the match comes from, and others, yeah, he's still our representative there. And then they've done the grading, so we'll get invoice for that, but then the district will do 50% of that grading royalties. We just need to preserve our grading by getting those water bars open.
Any questions about the roads?
I guess we need to have a motion to vote to hire Thomas Hayden.
Motion to hire Thomas Hayden for road GIS work.
Second.
Oh.
Do I have to say a rate during this? I have to add $20 an hour?
So to specify it's an independent contractor.
As an independent contractor.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Then all in favor say aye.
I
I abstain. 4 ayes. Anyone opposed? Is there any other?
I would like to thank Malia Collins, who is our community center manager, for taking on the 2-day project of weeding and upgrading the community center before the art festival, but also before the winter. So it's going to look good all year. And on Monday, there were 8 of us, including the town Girl Scouts and several others. And today, the fort came and did an incredible job with their tractor on the field, and they kind of polished it more, what we had done the first day. So it was incredible. It was good. It was very good.
I drove through there today just to see what it was like in my car. Wheels didn't sink into big ruts, so that was really good.
We also took all of the tree bark, big chunks type of stuff out to the community garden, so hopefully we can incorporate that into our very large unmanaged compost pile at the moment. So I'm going to request that we get some help with compost management out there.
And this is the week of the Arts Festival.
I noticed on the Arts Festival poster that, didn't we waive the fee for the use of we weren't mentioned as a sponsor at all on it? But we did waive the fees, so I was kind of surprised that we weren't on the poster.
We can just leave our own poster outside. I'll sign it.
Anything else? If not, it's 5:57 PM.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, I'm turning off the recorder and ending the meeting.